We're just hanging out here in the Trek race shop. See what's going on. Oh wow, look at this. This looks like it could be a 650B downhill bike. Nice. I wonder if we can talk to these guys about this a little bit.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. We met at Sedona.
Yeah. So Dylan, looks like we've been seeing some Trek Session 650s out there on the race courses, and I'm curious what's this bike we're standing in front of here?
Well, the bike we have here is where those current 650B sessions started.
Yeah.
So this is our first proto that we built a little over a year ago. And this was the first one tested and ridden to start to get a feel for the 650B in the session package geometry. And so what we did with this bike is basically mimicked the 26-inch bike in terms of geometry, performance, suspension characteristics, that sort of thing.
650's taken over very, very quickly. It's only been a couple years since we started seeing it on bikes, seemed a little bit more popular, and now it's like completely taken over. Like, what's Trek's story with development of 650? Were you guys resistant to it at first, or did you kind of just jump right on board with it?
We were actually pretty resistant to it at first. We believed in 29er. We've been doing 29ers a long time, major pusher of 29ers. So we believed very much in the 29er and the big wheel, but we still believed in small wheels for the different characteristics, the different riding styles, different terrains. And for us, the 650 was this in-between size. Everybody said it was the best of both, but we kept viewing it going, well, it's heavier than a 26, but it doesn't roll as well as a 29. It seemed to us to be the worst of both, but we actually set out to disprove the whole thing.
To disprove it?
We set out to disprove the whole thing. We were going to put it to bed and go, nope, it's 29 and 26.
Yeah.
This middle is...
We tried it, it was dumb, let's go away.
Yeah. And I think it speaks a lot to our development program that we were able to do that, to go out to say, yep, we don't believe in this, we're going to disprove it, and to actually change our minds and go,
right.
Wow, we do believe in this, there is something here.
Yeah.
We're always going to be developing this bike, so it's how do we get more performance out of it. And in this case, one of them was, well, this is a faster wheel. It's not just a wheel size thing, it's a faster technology.
So you guys are now on to prototyping, improving the carbon platform.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about the session, the carbon construction, what kind of changes you've made, advancements since the last session 9.9?
Sure. From the model year 2012 version, a couple of things that we changed. The main frame looks pretty similar, but there are a lot of different changes that are going on the inside. One of the biggest noticeable things you'll probably see is the down tube shaping and some of the tube shaping. We actually tried to get a little bit more of a, I'll call it vertical compliance or splay compliance on the frame, and without sacrificing our lateral stiffness. And so there's a couple of frame shaping things going on here that kind of give that front end a little more give vertically, but keep the lateral stiffness the same. And I think the biggest noticeable change that you'll see is with the chainstay, where we went from an alloy aluminum chainstay to a new carbon, full carbon chainstay. Our main reasoning for that was we felt we could take another significant chunk of weight out of the frame by doing that.
I think a lot of people think that carbon is carbon. If you get a carbon frame, it's made out of carbon. There's not much else to it, but it's actually very sophisticated material, and you can control exactly the properties you want out of it, correct?
Yep.
So the OLCV carbon that you use for your road frames versus your mountain frames, I know that a couple years back, you guys introduced what we call OLCV mountain, right?
OCLV mountain.
Okay. How is that different from the stuff you're using on the road end?
OCLV mountain is a material that we've developed specifically for increasing our damage tolerance on mountain bike frames. The focus when we developed that OCLV mountain material was to focus on damage tolerance and making sure that we are developing materials and construction methods that allow us to get as much of an increase in damage tolerance as possible, knowing that these frames are going to see a very harsh riding environment where you're going to get a lot of rock strikes and logs and whatnot.
And how does the carbon compare with aluminum as far as, I guess, ultimate strength, durability, and like how many cycles it can take before it failed?
All our testing was baseline off of aluminum frames. So
Okay.
we would take an aluminum frame and actually impact that frame and run that through some fatigues and ultimate loads, and we basically determine our test standard based off of those aluminum frames. And
So the carbon stuff had to be at least as strong.
as strong or stronger.
So John, we've talked a little bit about the Session 650 with Dylan, and we talked with Brad about a lot of the carbon construction.
Yep.
And I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about where Trek is putting the 650 model in the Session lineup.
Yep.
If the 26-inch wheel bikes are going to stick around, what we're looking at here for years to come. You can do a little foreshadowing for us.
Sure, you bet. So if we were to say, like, what do we envision 650B? We envision it as being a racer's bike. Somebody's pure race, looking for the best performance in what's a race geometry, race design.
Right.
What we do see, though, is that 26 still has a place. So as we've done our testing, when you look at the different ways downhill bikes are used, they're used for racing, but they're also used for gravity, for park riding, for shuttling, for other types of riding. In a lot of other cases, the 650B wheel has its place in a way there because it does offer the speed, but really the playfulness and everything else that you like about the 26 still is an advantage for those riders.
Okay.
So we see a world where at the World Cup level, they'll be riding a 650B mostly, but we see a level below that where we look at park riding and gravity riding where 26 will still have a place and still have a place in our product line.